Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I saw this on a T-shirt, and I wanted to pass it along to you. It said, quote, well, let me see. I dropped the paper. Hold on. Here it is. I'm a wooden spoon, lead paint, no car seat, no seat belt, no bike helmet, bed of pickup riding, garden hose drinking survivor. That's true of our generation, isn't it? Good morning, everybody. Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch. Here's Kate Smith, and God bless America. Good morning. We need a patriot. Come on, call in with our Pledge of Allegiance. Have a great day. Oh, good morning. Good morning to you. Zeb at the Ranch, and I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lorna, thank you so much, and I hope to see you at Lunch Bunch on Thursday. God bless you, my dear friend.
You have an awesome day.
Thank you very much. What a nice lady right there, and I appreciate her. Let's take a look right now at the weather forecast, and the weather brought to you to start our program off by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn. Hello, Roger! They've got all the tools and equipment to finish any project, and I urge you to stop by. They've got, I would think, a huge front lawn. Man, I tell you what, they've got equipment all over out there. The best of equipment for you. Short-term, long-term usage. You get a hold of them today. 678-3122. K&R Rental over in Heyburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It's going to be smoky in our area, and temperatures are cooling down. Here's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. Areas of smoke for today, but there is going to be some sunshine above all that haze. We are expecting a high of 83, and tonight, isolated rain showers and thunderstorms are a possibility before midnight. Still going to be smoky, partly cloudy with a low of 53. For tomorrow, slight chance of isolated rain showers, thunderstorms in the afternoon, mostly sunny skies with a high of 82. By Wednesday night, areas of smoke, partly cloudy skies with a low of 53. That smoke's going to stick with us for the rest of the week. Temperatures, we're looking at highs in the mid-80s, lows in the low 50s. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, I tell you what, I'll take that forecast anytime. Thank you, Gina, and brought to you by K&R Rental. Roger and the crew open the doors early in the morning at 7 a.m. right there at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn. And they really have the tools that you need, everything from weed mowers to air compressors to small excavators. It's all there. Believe me, I couldn't go through the whole list. K&R Rental, 678-3122. Really, really good folks. And when I say really good, folks, I'm also going to talk about my friends at, of course, Burley Livestock. Hello, Merv, May, Cade, Rogge, and Lance Udy. Thursday is sale day at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. The sale that works for you. Here's the number for cattle consignments and sale information, 678-9411, 678-9411. Don't forget, 10:30 sale time on Thursday this week. Burley Livestock Sale Yard, you be there on Thursday. Also, a big thank you and shout-out goes to our dear friends at Daryl's Cleaners. And like I said, and I have said many times on this program, that we've been going in there with all my jeans and shirts and sports jackets, you name it, for years and years. They do the best job. They do the best job. And if you haven't had your fall and winter coats cleaned yet, you kind of threw them in the closet last year, you better take them in there right now. The temperatures are on the decline, and fall is right around the corner. Stop in and see our friends at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley, serving you. Calls are welcome and appreciated at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Do you carry anything on your person? And I don't care. I'm not going to ask you if you carry a gun. I'm not going to ask you if you carry specifically a knife or whatever. But do you carry anything on you for protection? Well, over in London, the mayor, Muslim Khan, has said that London needs you alive. Don't carry a knife. Just a few months ago, this mayor issued a public call to young Londoners, challenging them not to risk their futures by carrying a knife, let alone a gun. Now, my feeling is, and again, I'm not going to tell you what I carry, but I do. I'm going to protect myself and my wife and my family and our situation. And I'm not going to be standing there just going, oh, gee, I wish I had something to protect myself with. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, they're making edicts, like this London mayor, Sadiq Khan, that he also wants to ban vehicles in certain parts of the city. And we, the innocents, pay the price. And absolutely put ourselves in jeopardy and harm's way. The innocents and the guilty parties have the weapons, have the means for destruction. But this sign that's hanging over there, London needs you alive. Don't carry a knife. What are your thoughts on this as far as carrying your protection? Or having protection with you wherever you go, in your automobile, on your person, etc. What are your thoughts? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, don't forget our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. I want to say this up front this morning. The service is impeccable. Jared was over here yesterday. We had that power outage, and it blew my lights up. Some of my lights up. Literally blew them up. And he fixed everything, and wow, I am a happy camper. I can see this morning. Thank you, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. All your heating, cooling, and electrical needs at Ramsey Heating and Electric. They're open at 7:30 in the morning till 5, Monday through Friday, and I urge you to call them. They are the best. 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric, serving you. Also, this week, it's the big week. Yeah, buddy. We're going to be over at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley on this Thursday. This Thursday at 11:30 for Zeb's Lunch Bunch at 611 North Overland in Burley, and they also have another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Now, I want to say a big thank you to Thomas and the entire staff, and delicious menu choices. Lunch Bunchers really enjoy Denny's. Please come and join us 11:30, and we're going to have a lot of door prizes too, furnished by Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, Pomerell Place, Denny's. All of those folks have contributed, and we certainly appreciate them. Going to be Zeb's Lunch Bunch at America's Diner this Thursday, Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Caller, you're welcome. Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, Zeb. How are you this morning?
Peachy, my dear friend. What can I do for you?
How many countries were taken over right after disarmament? How many cities have becoming sanctuaries for criminals when their guns were taken away, like in New York, Philadelphia, and a lot of them? And I had one gun confiscated in the city I was with, and the crime rates are, well, you know where they're going.
Well, Tony, I'll tell you this much, and again, not elaborating, and a little bit of feedback on the line wheels, not elaborating on what particularly I have on my person all the time, but I will tell you that I'm not going to go anywhere, even to a barbecue, without having some protection for my wife and myself. I will not give up the right to protect myself and stand there, and when there might be an assailant or whatever, just kind of basically say, oh boy, the end is near. I'm not going to subject myself to that.
Well, I always I've got one within the waistband, and that's always with me. It's been my constant companion.
Well, as well it should be. But when you read and hear stories, and I'd like your response to this, where they have put up signage and challenging people in London, boy, that city's gone to heck in a handbasket. London needs you alive, don't carry a knife. Well, that's the most ambiguous and oxymoron type statement I've ever heard.
Well, they're overrun with Muslims, and the Muslims would love to see the regular population disarmed.
Well, it's not just the Muslims.
And take over.
Yeah, it's not just the Muslims. There's good ones and there's bad ones, but it's also crime in general. Criminals want to know that the people that they're going to rob or attack or mug have no way of defending themselves. And this is just an open-door policy to say, okay, bad guys, we've taken away all the weapons of the good guys. Have at them.
Well, that'll be easy streets for them, and hopefully it never happens here in the free state of Idaho, where we can protect ourselves openly.
I'll tell you what, Tony, don't bet against it. Listen, my dear friend, God bless you and Mary. Thank you so much.
Okay, Zeb.
All right, buddy. Thank you. This really concerns me, because little by little, inch by inch, step by step, yard by yard, sounds like an Abbott and Costello comedy routine from years gone by. Little by little, they're trying to take away any way or means of protecting you and I. Now, again, like Tony said, he hope it doesn't happen here in the United States, but it is. It's going to be, and it's looming out there. They don't want the general population to have anything to protect themselves from crime and the bad guys. Well, we need to stand up and say, no, you're not going to take away my personal protection. Absolutely. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I haven't. You shouldn't either. I made the statement, and I had a couple of people call me, are you really going to go back and have them work on your legs this fall? And I said, yes, I am. They are the best. Nick Greenwell, physical therapist, and all the physical therapists. They're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And I'll tell you what, the number, write that down right now. Because you call, make an appointment for anything like maybe you're recouping from surgery or an accident, whatever it might be. They can and they will help you get back to being you. Number to call, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Please take my word, they are the best. All right, give me a call, 43622. Kind of a dead phone day today. Let's liven it up a little bit. If somebody came along and told you, or there was a notice in the paper or television had a great big series of advertisements, thou shalt not carry a gun, thou shalt not carry a knife, you are not allowed to have any protection whatsoever. What would you do? I'll just flat tell you, I will ignore that kind of foolishness. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Last night, now I got a caller. I'll tell you about what I saw last night, and it just sickened me. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah. Good morning. It's the Yummy Man.
Oh, there he is.
Today we're having breaded chicken. No, it's just, breaded chicken sandwiches. And I don't know what we're having for dessert, but we'll have something that's really good.
No, it'll be yummy good.
Tomorrow we're having birthday and anniversary dinner, and so it'll be turkey dressing, mashed potatoes, gravy, green beans, cranberry sauce, and yummy dessert.
Yummy dessert. I knew you'd throw that in there, Joe. God bless you at the Senior Junction. And what's the number to call over there and get more information about takeout meals?
208-678-7646.
Okay.
And we had some come in yesterday for takeout.
Well, there you go. By the way, Joe, I do not know the answer to this question, but when is your birthday?
12/21/25.
Well, it's
almost a Christmas present.
12/21/25. I've written that down, and I'm going to be sure and acknowledge your birthday, because you are the original Yummy Man. Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Joe Taylor, what a nice man and a real community asset. Thank you very much. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Last night, and I saw excerpts of this on the news and then again this morning, and I thought, wow, how pathetic and low class are these people. The Video Music Awards were hosted by, and he thinks of himself as a real funny comedian, little short, stubby, black comic, Kevin Hart. And right off the get-go of the show last night, they started attacking Donald Trump. They started attacking and demonizing his administration. They started attacking all of us that believe in respect for the flag and the national anthem. And enough is enough. I mean, they're trying to change the moralization of our country into nothing but, I think, pathetic lack of respect for anything. If you can't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Aaron Tippett had that in a song, and it's so true. If you can't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And they condoned the kneeling against our national anthem. And many of the people on the show last night had T-shirts that said, and I hate to be this explicit, but I'm going to tell you what it was, F the wall, no borders. I'm telling you, folks, if you're not concerned about these people, if you're not concerned about what they are trying to do to destroy this country, America, wake up. This election coming up in November is extremely critical. We need you to go to the polls. I'm telling you honestly that if you don't have a ride or a way to get to the polls, for heaven's sakes, call me. I'll come get you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Do you know this is a very, very special day?
What is it?
It is my wife's birthday.
Oh, my goodness. Nancy's birthday is today. I think we overlooked that. I apologize.
Yes, you did, but I'm going to continue to listen to you.
Well, gee whiz, thank you.
Yeah. No, we got a nice card in the mail from you and Goober, and we really appreciate that.
I signed the card. I should have remembered.
You didn't even know anything.
No, I'm going to tell you something, Mr. Cottom. You look at that signature, and nobody writes that sloppy but me.
I know, but, you know, Goober is your right-hand person.
She's my girl Friday.
And your left-hand person.
Oh,
and also your legs at times.
Yeah, well, keep going. I'm sure you're going to destroy the rest of me.
Yeah. But, you know, when we go back to talking about guns and knives, I always carried a pocket knife since I was old enough to be able to open one up.
Yep.
And I always will. But these airline deals where if it's such and such and such, you can't get in there. You can't even get in down here to our Justice building here in Burley, Idaho, with the knife.
Well, I don't care if I have to give the knife up at the entranceway as long as I get it back. Or I should have known initially not to take it to that entry or exit way that I'd have a problem. But I'm not going to give up the right of carrying protection for Deanne and I anywhere and everywhere we go. I'm not going to subject myself to just being basically empty-handed.
Well, I do not carry a gun because I think in a moment of frenzy I may use it, and I'll regret it the rest of my life.
Yeah, I disagree with you.
That's my theory.
Yeah, I know. I disagree with you, though. In a moment of frenzy, I'm going to be very blunt with you. I think that you are a great person that absolutely loves his family and would not want to see them subjected to any terror, any criminal activity, any beating, any thuggery. And I absolutely think that you would step up and end the altercation one way or the other. And quite frankly, a lot of people have to adopt that philosophy.
Well, I would suffer my life to be taken if they disturb my wife or my family in any way. I mean, I will lay my life on the line for my family, and so will you.
Absolutely. But I'm not going to subject myself to being unprotected. No, ever. And the bad people in this world, all they need is another little push of the door to get the crack of the door jamb open wider. And with things like, well, you can't carry a knife, or you can't do this, or you can't do that, I am not going to subject myself to the criminal public knowing, oh, well, it's open season, baby. They don't have any way to protect themselves.
Well, that's true. And I've agonized myself about firearms. I know we need them and everything, but to what degree do I want to go to protect myself?
Well, that is your own personal decision. That's your own personal decision, but I will tell you this. I've made my personal decision, and my personal decision is to think of my wife and me first. The bad guys, not even a close second.
That's certainly true, and you're a true patriot, and you abide by the law. The law says you can carry that gun, and you can use it in self-defense.
Keith, I appreciate your call and your thoughts every day on this program. Thank you for calling in. Thank you very much.
You bet.
All right. God bless. And this is something that's very personal to me, and I'm going to be very blunt. I have been in situations in my life and been in particular situations that because of my travels and because of late-night red-eye flights or maybe checking in and getting a rental car late at night, etc., I have made sure that I have some protection. I don't want somebody to look at me on those crutches, which I'm not trying to hide, and say, oh, there's an easy mark, because it isn't. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental Sales Service and Parts at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley with Juan. Hello, Juan. 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls with Eli. He's a fellow Green Bay Packer fan. And the Nampa location. And they've got all that big, strong Doosan equipment. Let me tell you what, boys, that can get the job done. Doosan Equipment Sales Service and Parts Rental Dealership right there at Barry Equipment and Rental. And don't forget, too, they've got all the equipment you need for either leasing or buying. You better believe it. Get a hold of them today and find out more. And they've got all the Bobcat excavators, all shapes and sizes at Barry Equipment and Rental. Sales, service, and parts, Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Get a hold of them today. Your turn. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You're not going to believe this next story, but PETA, these people frustrate me. PETA, the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, they demanded that animal cracker cookies, and I am not embarrassed to tell you at all that even at my age now, where I am long in the earlobe, gray on the hair, and I just absolutely love animal cracker cookies. I still love those things. They are demanding that the box of animal crackers be changed. What? Yeah, they demanded that the animals on the animal crackers not be by circus wagons or cages. They, PETA, demanded that they must show the animals roaming free and lying in the grass. So Nabisco, makers of the animal crackers, capitulated, and the new boxes will be out soon. Why? Why cave into these people? I mean, that marketing and that box has been known and illustrated what they are and what they sell for years and years and years. And now all of a sudden PETA says, well, you can't do that. You can't have that tiger inside that cage. You can't have that lion standing there next to that circus wagon. Why, we've got to have this changed. And they demand that they get their way. I would love to be the head of a corporation when they make those demands. I would love to tell these people to go straight to the next caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hello. I would like to talk about the rodeo celebration that they had on Saturday night about the patriotism part. I don't know if they had it on all 3 nights, but I was really impressed on what they did, but I've not heard one thing about it from anybody, and I'd like to hear some other comments.
Well, I'm certain that it was a very nice opening, the military tribute, etc., and I've heard that it was very well done. And as far as any other comments are concerned, I have heard from other people that it was very nice and deservedly so. So I do appreciate you bringing it up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you. That was nice of her. Very nice of her. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. When are we going to stand up and say, no, thank you for your letter, Thank you for your phone call. Now, don't bother me again. You know, we got to start saying no to these people. They demand, we cower. They make other demands, and right away we run in the corner and say, "Oh, please don't boycott my business. Oh, don't hurt me. I'll change. I'll do everything you want," and they win. It's got to stop. Absolutely has to stop. Calls are welcome. 43. What in the world? Wake up, little Susie out there. Come on, call me at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. When one of my friends in Washington, D.C. told me about this story, and then a good friend of mine back in Ohio sent me the story, I absolutely couldn't believe that we have degenerated this far. Open, and please, if you have little children in the room, you might want to shuttle them off into the next room to play or whatever. But open public urinals in the city of Paris. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Zev. I'm going to go from peeing in the streets to mad about the animal crackers on to thank the Fair Board, Cassia County, and the people that allowed us to salute the veterans. We had 9 World War II veterans, and I just appreciate that time and being able to recognize and honor them and the standing ovation that they got.
Absolutely.
If anyone was not there on Saturday night, they missed a wonderful tribute.
You know, I've had the occasion during my programming on this radio station and also the show, and then also for the 50 years that I traveled around the country in my rodeo business, to meet and greet and extend to the public thank yous from many, many vets of World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam, everywhere. And absolutely, I'm so thankful that we in America, the bulk of us, still honor and pay tribute to our military. And I'll say this, rodeo and rodeo cowboys never take a knee.
Never. We stand proud and are proud to be Americans, and we're proud to honor the veterans. And I just want to thank you for everything that you have done, and always, first and foremost, to recognize the veterans and show your appreciation to it. And I think it's really important that we continue to do that, continue to teach our children and educate them of what has went on and what they have been through, because so many people are trying to cover it up like in a sandbox and pretend it never happened.
I have said and maintained, and I know who this person is on the other end of the line, very, very nice lady, but I have said many times on my program that I would love to do this. I would love to call about 6 or 8 great big burly bulldoggers and go to where they're having problems of understanding respect for our flag and unleash these big burly bulldoggers to maybe create a personality adjustment for the ones that don't understand the value of being an American.
That's right, and I would love to be there to videotape it, to put it up, to tell them, this is what happens when you disrespect.
I can think of about at least 8 big burly bulldoggers that it wouldn't take much coaxing for them to help administer these personality adjustments, and I would revel in sitting back and smiling, watching the change in how they act.
That's right, Zeb. Keep up the good work. Appreciate everything you do.
God bless you. Thank you for your call.
You too. Honey.
All right. I honestly, you're not going to see much cowboys sit or kneel during the anthem. You're not going to see them running around with their hats on. They take their hat off. They stand tall and proud. And who was the comedian that used to say, I pity it wasn't a comedian, it was Mr. T on the TV show. the A-team, he said, I pity the fool. Well, to steal his line, I pity the fool that would go up against these big, burly bulldoggers. Oh, good watching. Good watching. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Got to ask you, how come nobody reverts back to the videos and newscasts of Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and other Democrats standing in front of a camera in 2008 and 2009 saying, we need borders. We are against illegal aliens coming into our country. That was just a mere couple of years ago, and now they've changed just purely because the Democrats want to buy new votes. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. They're like a fish out of water. They just flip and flop.
That's a good analogy. And soon, hopefully, they'll run out of air.
Yeah, but, and just burly bulldoggers, you throw in a few bull riders in there, too, because those guys are fearless.
Yeah, those little guys, they're pretty much, I agree with you. They'd be great at maybe administering the last part of that personality adjustment.
Yeah, and I know a couple bulldoggers that, tried the pro deal, and those guys weren't afraid of nothing.
Yeah.
They didn't care how big that other person was. It was going to happen.
In all honesty and seriousness, though, when you hear daily stories about people that are disrespecting the value system in America, morals, and the way we've done things to respect our flag and pay tribute to our service people, little by little, Doug, they're taking a hammer and they're just absolutely destroying what America stands for.
That's exactly it. That's what they're doing to this younger generation. That one gal that took the knee and Clinton, she praised her and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When you raise a young group or a group of people, an age group, and teach them not to be proud of America, do you think they'll stand up for America when the time comes to defend her?
Absolutely not.
Nope.
Hey, you bring up a really good point that needs to be elaborated on. You and I are fairly close to the same age. I think you're a little younger, are you not?
Yeah, just a little. I was born 51.
All right. You're not that far behind me in the race. But when you look back at your children and then your grandchildren, I don't know about you, but it's got to give you pause to kind of stand there and shake and shudder. My goodness, what's going to happen in a matter of a few years when it comes to standing for our anthem, standing for our pledge, standing for our country in general? Is it going to be there?
That's the scary part. Me, I'm old enough now that, I've lived a good life and I'll defend this country. But to think that my kids, my grandkids, and even my great-grandson might not have the what you'd call the pleasure of living in a country that is free. It just scares me.
Well, it does me too. And Wheels, you got to turn the callers up a little bit when they're talking, please. But I'll go back to what I was mentioning a little bit earlier about self-protection. That also enters into this conversation, Doug, because now governments around the world are demanding of their citizens that they cannot protect themselves. And I look at those kinds of situations and say, aha. This is the way governments control people like sheep, and I'm not going to abide.
Exactly. And what's that town down south, I can't remember, it's Alabama or Georgia or somewhere, where they had quite a bit of crime, and they mandated that every house have a gun.
Yep.
And what happened to their crime rate?
It went away.
It did.
You know, it's kind of like a traveling circus to some degree. And I use the word circus in a broad sense of negativity here, and I don't mean to, but when the criminals find out that, whoa, wait a minute, we can't go down to the Smith house because they've got that all electronically guarded and the guy inside's got a great big 357. Let's go over and try the Johnson house. Oh, man, we can't go there. That guy just got a brand new gun. Well, let's get out of Dodge City and go someplace else.
Yes. Yeah, just like what was that joke about which house would you rather rob, this big fancy house with a nice groomed yard, or a house with the weeds growing up around two vehicles on blocks in the front yard?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, when you have like this London mayor, Khan, coming out and saying that London needs you alive, don't carry a knife, and then they're trying to pass ordinances and everything that you can't have anything on your person that would protect you from an assailant, that is the point where humanity is gone and only evil will be prevalent.
Right. Yeah, and he's even want to ban cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. In certain areas I mean, yeah, everybody, let's get bicycles.
Well, I think that you and I are on the same page. I'm not going to ask you how you will protect yourself, but let's just use an assumption and keep those assumptions out there so that the bad guys are going, all
I ask is that you carry an ID so your next of kin can be notified.
There you go, Doug. I'm late for a weather forecast, as you probably can imagine. Give your spiel quickly. I've got to run.
All righty. Yeah, everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. Like the Yummy Man says, anybody can go eat at a senior center. So go eat in a senior center, and you will be enlightened. I'll guarantee you.
There you go. There you go. Doug, always appreciate your calls. Thank you. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Oh, the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup. She's written a brand new book, and you got to get a copy of this book. She gave me one the other day to look at and use on this program, and it's called Communication Tips for Happier Relationships, a guide to better understanding when someone you love has a hearing loss. And you can get one of these copies of the book by going to Mount Harrison/radio and go to the request, punch it in, and they'll send a copy to you. This is an excellent book. I've had a chance to peruse it a little bit over the last day, and next week we're going to start giving you some of these tips that are in this book. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they're right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. Number to call for a hearing screening, please do it, 312-0957. And right now, here's the weather.
It's going to be smoky in our area, and temperatures are cooling down. Here's a look at your weather forecast for Zev at the Ranch. Areas of smoke for today, but there is going to be some sunshine above all that haze. We are expecting a high of 83, and tonight, isolated rain showers and thunderstorms are a possibility before midnight. Still going to be smoky, partly cloudy with a low of 53. For tomorrow, slight chance of isolated rain showers, thunderstorms in the afternoon, mostly sunny skies with a high of 82. By Wednesday night, areas of smoke, partly cloudy skies with a low of 53. That smoke's going to stick with us for the rest of the week. Temperatures, we're looking at highs in the mid-80s, lows in the low 50s. That's your weather forecast for Zev at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. And I'll tell you about the smoke, folks. It's really dangerous out there for folks with lung problems, etc. I know that when I was a young boy, I had asthma, and yesterday, wow, I mean, it was triggering some of the old days with a heavy, heavy smoke out there. Be careful, be smart, please. Don't forget our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and the number to call to get an appointment with Dr. Pickup and Dr. Mitchell, 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, I was talking just a little bit ago about many of the different shows on Fox. They're the only network that has the guts to stand up to the Democrats. It wouldn't be CNN, and it wouldn't be NBC or et cetera. But in 2008, and 2009, Pelosi and Schumer, I mean, they were taped and videoed at numerous occasions, standing up there at podiums saying, oh, we can't have illegal aliens coming in. Oh, we've got to have real borders. What happened? Well, the Democrats have accepted the mantra that they don't have a platform. They don't have any really good ideas. They don't have any economic suggestions. So their mantra and platform has been to flip-flop and buy votes by being in favor of no borders and come on in, y'all. We'll give you everything. That's why I'm saying that this November election is absolutely, I think it's the most important election ever for midterms. I really do. And the Democrats, are calling for a blue wave. I certainly hope it's nothing more than a leak in the bathroom fixture. But I am personally going to be calling for no votes, none, nada, to any Democratic candidates. That is not to say that the best are on the other side of the ticket with the GOP. They need to clean up their act, too. I'm not saying, and I'm not picking at one particular candidate or office or whatever, but in general, both sides of the aisle need a complete refurbishing, and some of the people that are sitting on the GOP side of the aisle need to be thrown out. But I absolutely do not want to see a blue wave. Do I want to see Paulette Jordan as governor of Idaho? Absolutely not. She is not qualified in any way, shape, or form. The same goes with other Democrats like Deborah Silver, etc. No, I don't want to see them in office. Wouldn't she be interesting to have in as a state senator? And she won't even talk to me, who would be one of her constituents. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zev. I totally agree. And really the problem is that all of our elected officials take an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution. You know, and if we get back to the Constitution in the tradition of our founding fathers, and everybody says, well, we don't know what they meant by this. I'm sorry, I've got a 2-volume set of the transcript, basically, the notes of James Madison at the Constitutional Convention. We know exactly what they meant about the First Amendment, about the all the different aspects of why they voted on this and that and the other to come up with the best document. And we need to hold their feet to the fire, bringing in all these illegals, and we're going to be Europe here if we don't stop it. And Paulette Jordan, I mean, what kind of she's a Bernie Sanders socialist. What gets me is that, she's Indian. I don't know if she's full-blooded Indian or not, but I always tell people, if you think the government's going to take care of you, just look what they've done for the Indians.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I would like to, let me jump in here, Adrian, and just say something quickly because I've got to go to a commercial break, but I want to say this. Over the next couple of weeks and months leading up to the midterms, on this program, we're going to be looking at and trying to dissect some of the various treaties, some of the various ways that the Indians have been set up on their reservational lands, etc. So bear with me. We're going to have this on the program in the near future. I do have to run and get a commercial in quickly. I'm out of time, but call a little earlier in the next segment tomorrow, and I'd love to have you back on the air.
You bet. Okay. Thanks a lot.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. Let's not forget our friends that are our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And, yeah, I know a lot of schools still a couple of days away from going back to school, and parents are saying, oh, my, we've got to go take a little road trip with the kids. Well, make sure your tires are road trippable. There you go. There's a new word. And go on into your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and they've got all the tires, all the sizes, all the different tread designs for all vehicles. Now, please heed my words. And above all that, they've got the best in brake service and front-end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries, all of this and more. And the greatest of service to you. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. My friends, at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. The best. We're going to take a break. Coming up next hour at 9:06, Michael Doherty. And we're going to be talking to him. And then at 9:30, we've got Dr. Tim Ball, 9:46, Stoats Ag Minutes, and all kinds of good things coming up this next hour. Don't miss it. Zeb at the Ranch. Wheels, take it away. Good morning. Oh, the weather is cooling down a little bit. And if we could only get rid of all this smoke, it's really, really nasty outside. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Great, great folks. And don't forget, too, some of our advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Whew. Helping you get back to being you. Right now, this good word for our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Need to clean out the basement or the garage or maybe the attic so that maybe you can go find all the Christmas ornaments later on. Kind of a mess, huh, Bunky? Well, let me tell you something. Western Waste Services can deliver dumpsters in various sizes, and you fill them up and then call them and they'll come and get it. They are always at your disposal. Don't forget to give them a call. Western Waste Services, 734-6969. I want to say thank you again to wonderful, wonderful people that are serving you and your family. And they do so much for the community, and always with a big smile on their face to make sure that you and your family are well taken care of. Always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. I'm talking about Hanson Mortuary. I'm talking about Joel Heward, his family, and his staff. Please remember, when there's the passing of a loved one, they are there to serve you. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, and the number to call, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Right now, we are going to be talking to the director at the National Cyber Security Society and a board member at NetShield Corporation and the author of The Devil Inside the Beltway. With all those accolades, I don't know why he has even time to talk to anybody. Hello, Michael Doherty. How are you?
Mr. Bell, I'm good. How are you, sir?
If I was any better, the wrong fat man would be wearing my clothes.
Oh, that's the visual I don't want to know.
Yeah, I tell you what. Ugly, ugly. Michael, you've been on the program in the past, and you've always been a real straight shooter. What is going on with Twitter and Google and everybody else trying to basically filter out and tell the American public, oh, you can't hear that because we won't let you? What's going on here?
Well, they're getting an accusation that's very founded, and they're never, ever, ever going to admit it. They're going to circle confused. So when Dorsey, the head of Twitter, says that we have a left-wing bias, everyone jumps on that sentence. They don't complete the story with it. He said, but we have no bias when our decision on what goes on Twitter. We look at behavior, which I consider that to be the buried headline, because I don't consider Twitter behavior. I consider typing in what you're thinking as a form of speech. So that's speech he doesn't like. And look, we all know this. It's just kind of the cracks in the dam are happening. And, you know, it's some people that don't understand how important free speech is might think it's an overreaction, but it's a slippery slope when companies that provide the platform become the decider of what gets to be discussed. That's like the phone company listening into your conversations. To do that in the past, you had to have a search warrant and a real probable cause. Now we're seeing that's reversed, and it's an interesting quagmire because these aren't public utilities. These are companies that aren't considered utilities, and they're trying to pull this, but they get so much profit, and they snuggle up to the government to protect themselves from the government and to influence the government, and with that they have become social engineers, and they think they're right, and because they think they're right, the left always thinks when they're right they get to break the law and stretch the rules. Everyone pulls that stuff, and that's where we're at. I think our eyes are just becoming open.
Michael, let me ask you this, and I've had you on the program in the past, and you've always given the information necessary for the public to understand this problem. And I'm going to ask this next question, which normally would go at the last part of the interview. Have we gone so far with basically somebody looking over our shoulder and listening to every word we said that we can never, ever have public privacy again?
Oh, I think that's true. Unfortunately, whenever you give the government power, you can almost never pull it back. You can try to control it and contain it. And this is why all this stuff is so interrelated, which is what is going on with the Justice Department and what it looks like to be the intelligence community working hand in hand with the Clinton and the Obama teams to impact an election. That's this crazy stuff, and these are the same people that have access to all this data that they say, oh, we'd never look at it, just trust me. And there's a problem with not having any accountability. We have to have accountability. I don't think we're ever going to be able to pull back that they're going to have all this data. So that means the public has to be better educated and more vigilant and more active in protecting their rights, because these people are violating trust, and they're doing it because nothing happens to them when they violate it and break the law. And those are the people, ironically, that are supposed to be enforcing the law. So that's why you have Snowden and Assange and these people go out there. You have people that get out and do really huge, controversial things. But we're seeing that no one's held accountable within the government when they violate the public trust.
Yeah, but you just created another real worry for me. Let's go under the assumption that Donald Trump does not get reelected in 2020. Let's go under the assumption that the bad people on the left are going to take over and completely destroy everything that this administration has tried to put together in 4 years. And with that new administration in 2020, all these insidious people with all the control factors, wow, what kind of a country will America turn into?
Well, that's the bullet we dodged when Hillary lost, because we didn't understand. Look, we didn't understand how far down the road we've gone until he won, because this is the thing. I mean, the things they're talking about now that everyone believes go back 6-7 years that that people think you're a conspiracy theorist, because our trust has been shattered, and you can't put the genie back in the bottle. That's a good thing when things are wrong, but it took a while because look, this whole way that D.C. has operated has been building for a century, not 10 years. We just haven't known about it because it's never taught in civics books. And there's a reason for that, because they don't want us to know. So keeping people divided and conquered so that if you get really hosed by the government, you're in such a minority of people that people are more afraid of you than want to fight for you. And our civics books are teaching American politics from the 19th century, not the 20th or the 21st. It's no surprise that we were naive to this, and we only get an awareness of it at a tipping point. And as the people protecting the Obama administration's reputation pass away in the next 50, 60 years, the truth will come out of how vicious this was. I mean, we already know a ton of things, but there's a ton of people that just don't even want to acknowledge acknowledge it because they voted for him. And that is how incredibly, funneling Syria, funding Syria, buying off Iran, the revenge factor, the data he used to analyze who his enemies were. I mean, all of this stuff was heavy-handed stuff, big-time tests. And so we're farther down the road to that than people even realize.
Michael, let me ask you this. I am not, as you and I have discussed on the air and then also off the air, I am not a computer-savvy or tech-savvy individual. I don't want to be. But from this day, August 21st, 2018, with the smartphones that track our every whereabouts and they can listen in on our television sets, etc., how much worse, and I underline the word worse as part of the thing I'm scared of in the future, how much worse can it get for Big Brother and censorship and cyber intelligence against the general public?
Oh, way worse. I mean, we're nowhere near how bad it can get. I mean, you want to see how bad it gets, go to Venezuela or look at history, look at China. It's way worse. But this is why they keep it secret, because what we have that these socialistic or communistic or dictatorships don't have is a voting system that is the backbone of keeping people accountable. And so the way to get people not to vote against you is to not let them know what's going on and to sell them a load of crap that they believe. That's starting to really crumble and end, which is why you see so much panic. I mean, you want to see, it's kind of like throwing a die on something to see what stands out. And if you want to see who the swamp or administrative state is, just see who's freaking out about what's going on. And that's some media, Democrats, establishment Republicans, bureaucrats. The public doesn't understand, because they haven't been educated, that there are more bureaucrats in Washington than there are Republicans and Democrats combined. That this really isn't about partisan, but when they make it partisan, it divides and conquers people. This really shouldn't be liberal versus conservative. It really is about just freedom. I mean, if people really understood the truth, I think liberals would be just as outraged.
Well, with your expertise and your knowledge on this subject, Michael, are there, for lack of better terminology, little groups that get together Monday through Friday underneath various buildings in the sub-basement areas, and they plot and develop new organized spying techniques on the American public? Who does this, and who is in charge of all these techniques?
There certainly is a culture that would come out, and it's not. It's usually certainly not the rank and file of these agencies. It's the politicized top. One of the things that drives FBI people nuts is the people at the top tend to be just law school people that never worked in the street. These are careerist bureaucrats who have relationships with power all the way back to law school. So they sweep in and they sweep out. But there's not. It's way more sophisticated. These are people that have been friends for years who then become codependent on each other for their career survival. So they whistle past the graveyard and they ignore when someone in the club royally screws up or something happens, and they help each other out when they need a favor because they're all in it together. It's a great gig. There's great pension, no accountability. You have power and recognition, and Woodrow Wilson started the beast, and it'll take a long time but it's not like backroom stuff. It's way more sophisticated.
What would you tell people that are very concerned about their privacy, very concerned about remaining an individual that doesn't want to supply all their personal information all over the world? Is there a way they can fight back? Is there a way they can diminish themselves away from all this scrutiny, or is there absolutely nothing they can do?
No, there's not nothing they can do. The most effective thing you can do about any topic, actually, is get involved in the political process, and I don't mean run for office, and I don't mean become a picket or an advocate. I mean, you can become the political office just by knowing how to professionally talk to your congressman and senator and give them information and be repetitive, because they do listen to that when you write a letter or you make a phone call. I mean, just make a phone call and don't expect – you make a phone call that lasts a minute and a half, give your point really clearly. They count those. the more that those happen, the more they pay attention. Congress isn't paying attention to technology because, A, they don't know how to exploit it for political gain like they exploited medicine, and B, they don't know anything about technology. Now, they don't know anything about medicine, so that didn't stop them. But when there's political pressure, they're political animals, so you have to apply political pressure. And, and I think that's becoming more and more possible. I mean, look at everyone's so freaked out about Cambridge Analytica. We had a hearing. Hearings are just theater, but at least we got their attention, and then, they all danced and gave a show, and then it all went away. But that you have to start there, and you have to let them know. And the other thing is just to understand that, the odds of you really paying a price on this in the short term are kind of short. The sky isn't totally fallen yet, but you have to vote. You have to get these cronies and people that are establishment, whether it be Republican or Democrat, out.
Let me add to that.
You don't change these people. You just have to change who's in office.
Absolutely. Let me add to what you just said, and you said it very well, but I have found, and I'm not trying to denigrate anyone, I'm not trying to demean their education or their knowledge, but in general, I have found that politicians on a national scale, congressmen and senators, really are misinformed or uneducated on a lot of issues that are important to the American public. Would you concur?
Yeah, that's intentional because they don't want to be held responsible. That's why they love the agencies. They get to be good cop and money raiser and social, and they get to have a great gig, and they don't have to be held accountable. And they circle and confuse what they do because they make the agencies be the bad guy. And so they just part of the ignorance is intentional, and then they're protected by staff, and they're all insulated. And there's a certain level of that must happen for them to do their jobs. But a lot of it is like, look. That's why they were dancing in front of the television with Zuckerberg. They all just want their 5 minutes time to speak to their contingency, their constituency. So they're on their local TV and their voters say, "See, I'm doing something," and then most people go, "Oh, they're doing something," and that's all they pay attention to. And
absolutely,
something will happen.
Absolutely. Let me ask you about the book, The Devil Inside the Beltway. How is it going? Is it being well received? Give us a little thumbnail sketch as to what's happening.
Well, now, the book has been out for 4 years, and it sells as well as it did the first day because it's become so prophetic. And it's a story about how my medical laboratory was hacked, and the hacker is working with the government. And it's written like a novel. It's full of authentic emails and documents about how these people roll, but it's written like a novel. And because of the book, we had a congressional investigation, a whistleblower come out, and all sorts of things happened because of that book. And now it's all timely because now I'm not the lone wolf. It's like this is how they do it, and we're all much more aware. And there's a more awareness that has to happen. We have to understand that our civics books that we're taught belongs between Alice in Wonderland and the Wizard of Oz up on the shelf. And we have to learn how government really operates.
I really appreciate your taking the time to be on our program. The Devil Inside the Beltway, the shocking expose of the U.S. government surveillance. The author right here knows all about cybersecurity, and that's Michael Dougherty. Michael, thank you for being on the show this morning.
Thanks for having me. Have a good day.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Kind of spooky, isn't it? That no matter where you go, no matter what you do, Big Brother is watching you and possibly recording you with your smartphone in your pocket or up to your ear while you're using it or your television set. Oh, yeah. They're listening to you. Or maybe even possibly, and it's happening, watching you. I, for one, think I do not understand everything in cybersecurity. I make no bones about it. I don't like that kind of thing. But I will say when I get experts on the program like Michael Dougherty, it opens my eyes to the fact that we've lost our control. We've lost our, if you want to use this terminology, secretive personalities. They know everything. They listen, and then they program for what they've heard to try to influence you with your purchases, etc. There is no such thing, I think, anymore as privacy. We've lost that, not just here, but anywhere in the world. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to tell you a little bit about Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. And the river and the canals, the water's going down and leaving a reddish green blue algae along the banks. This is deadly. This is deadly for your dogs. It's a very serious problem. The algae can kill your dog within a half an hour, or at the very minimal, these dogs will become extremely sick. Please pay attention to this because it is very dangerous. And Ark Animal Hospital wants you to really watch your pets, please. And if you have a problem, get a hold of them right away. Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street in Heyburn. Number to call, 678-1177. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Well, I'll tell you another guy that I want to brag on a little bit, and he stopped by the house yesterday. I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I felt bad about that, and that's Anthony at Save on Shells at 1027 Overland in Burley. And please take it from me. This is a testimonial. I bought a brand new camper shell from him, an ARE camper shell. Oh, it's top of the line. Absolutely. And Anthony's top of the line with all of his service, and they've got the greatest selection of new and used shells right there. They can custom fit any truck on the road today. 1027 Overland in Burley, Save on Shells. Call him today, Anthony, at 312-1525. That number again, 312-1525. Really good guy. Let's see, what else have I got cooking? Oh, I want to tell you a little bit. We're going to be talking to Jeff on Thursday. But Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. You need a good night's sleep, Bunky. Well, that old mattress that you've got maybe has got some pits and hollows like the Grand Canyon. Well, they've got all your mattresses right over there at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Great selection to help you get a better night's sleep. Yep, and they've got all the furniture. They've got the bedroom sets. They've got the living room sets. They've got it all. And what a selection of recliners. I bought a brand new recliner. Woohoo! I love it. I'm comfy now. So stop in and see the good folks that really understand home comfort and the beautification of your home. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Old Jeff and the crew, they will help you. I guarantee it. There you go. Another great business before we get our next guest on the line, and that's going to be Dr. Tim Ball in just a second. I want to remind you about Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And, you know, they never stop. They never take a break because they go right from spring into summer with the ATVs and all the side-by-sides and the watercraft, and then they slowly jump right into fall with the getting ready for the snow machines and everything. Wow. Let's Ride. And a great accessory department, everything you need, but above all, a super service department. Best doggone service department around to keep you running. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and it is true. This is where the fun is sold. Let's Ride. Wheels, what?
I was just going to ask if there was a secondary number for Mr. Ball. I can't reach him on the primary number.
I do not have a... Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I just found that. And the backup number, you ready to write this real fast?
Yes, sir.
All right, 250-361-8277. Or is that the number I gave you?
That was the number you originally...
All right, well then try this same beginning, 250-380-7784.
Okay.
All right. Quickly call him and see if you can get him on the air real fast. Thank you. Want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. And they're also on Highway 24 over in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more with really dedicated, personalized service to you, your family, and your business. Please get a hold of them today. Call for an appointment at 436-4424. 436-4424. The best serving you, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Great guys and gals over there at Cameron and Siemens. Let's check with Wheels to see if he got our guest on the line. Everything all set to go?
Give me 1 second, sir.
Real quick. Seconds up. There you go. Coming up at 10 o'clock, don't forget, too, we've got Dr. History, and he will be live and in here in the studio at 10:06. And then at 10:32 this morning, Maria Espinoza. We've got a full plate of really, really good guests on the program for this morning. Wheels, do we have him? Do we have?
I'm putting him through right now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I really enjoy having this gentleman on the program. He is the author of Human Caused Global Warming, the biggest deception in history. He's been on my program many times in the past. Hopefully, he'll keep coming back. Dr. Tim Ball, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you. Bearing up, as they say, under the circumstances.
Well, when you say circumstances, are those circumstances that you'd like to tell my audience? What is there a problem, or are you okay? I hope all is well.
No, all is well. Fighting against suppression of free speech and the use of the law to silence people and all of the attempts to control people. But it's a constant battle, like Benjamin Franklin said, we've given you a republic if you can keep it. And that's the battle.
You know, Dr. Ball, you've been so gracious to come on my program in the past many, many times. I was watching television the other evening, and I caught a report about John Stossel. And John Stossel works as an affiliate announcer, and also he dispels the theory of climate change. And he was revoked, I believe, from various accounts because certain people didn't want him to broadcast those programs. I believe it was on YouTube, and they canceled him. What is your response to this censorship?
Yeah, well, I watched that interview with John Stossel, and I've always followed his career because I had the privilege of appearing on a program he did way back when he was with ABC. And, of course, that program brought on the so-called skeptics, myself and John Christie and others. And I think that was one of the reasons that he got pushed out of ABC, and he's ended up at Fox News. And, yeah, he was talking about the censorship of the social media, where these people are deciding what they will run and what they won't run. It runs into that conflict, of course, that you have in the U.S., and that is that these private companies, basically, they own the company, they can do what they want, and that should be left to the marketplace. But it also raises the issue, of course, of why I constantly, and I'm sure I've said it on your program before, to say that there is, if you either have free speech or you don't. You can't temper it. You can't modify it in any way. And I've argued that Oliver Wendell Holmes, the U.S. Supreme Court Justice, who said you can't shout fire in a crowded theater, simply not true. You can shout it. The issue, and this is the failure of the society today, is if you do it, you've got to be held accountable. And it's the failure to hold people accountable that is a bigger problem in the society.
You know, Dr. Ball, I have found in a much more limited fashion than I'm sure you have to go through every day, that when the left and the people that are proponents of climate change / global warming or whatever they want to call it on a certain day, when you pin them down for facts, I mean facts that are bona fide facts, right away they say, well, you're a bigot, you're a hate monger, you don't know what you're talking about. They go to minusculing the person instead of debating the facts. Am I right or wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. And, of course, if you study philosophy has always identified different forms of argument. One of them is appealing to authority. And so you name some big person that is your authority, that gives it credibility. But the other is, if you're losing an argument, you forget the argument and attack the person. And, of course, that's exactly what you're experiencing. And the attack on the person can be in various forms. It can be ridiculing them as an individual, but it can also be putting them into a small group, marginalizing you. That's the whole idea. Saying, oh, you don't think like everybody else does, therefore you're wrong. And so you saw that with anybody that questioned Obama's paperwork, and they were immediately labeled a birther. And back when I was on with John Stossel, as I said, we were all global warming skeptics. And that was a small group that they said that these people don't agree with the majority. And then, of course, they start making the consensus. So you're not in the consensus. Well, consensus doesn't apply to science for a start. But it's all of this marginalizing of the individual once you start to lose the basic argument on the facts. And by the way, very, very few people know anything about climate science. Yale University did a study which was based at the grade 10 level. It was like a grade 10 test on climate change. 75% of the people failed it.
You know, Dr. Ball, as you say that about understanding the possibility or not of climate change, it seems to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, that when you take polls of the various public, whether it's large city or if it's in the rural areas, of whether people are really concerned about a potential of climate change, it doesn't even rank in the top 10 of their worries. But yet it seems like right now today, the climate change people, the fanatics, are making a last-ditch effort to make us kind of kowtow to their beliefs. Is that right or wrong?
No, that's absolutely right. And the two are linked because, of course, what they read the polls just like we do, and they see that they're losing the argument. They're not persuading the public. The public are doing what Mark Twain said. You know, if you sit there with your mouth shut, people will think you're stupid. Don't open your mouth and prove it. And, of course, the public looking at this say, well, there's something wrong with this. It just doesn't seem to make sense. Their forecasts are wrong and so on. But they don't know enough to make comment on it, so they just shut their mouth and sit quiet. And that's what the polls are demonstrating. The largest one, by the way, ironically, was a UN poll of 10 million people in 18 different countries. They listed 16 concerns for people, and climate change was the 16th on the list. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. And of course, what they've been doing, and I saw a communique put out by a public citizens group, which are pushing the global warming issue, and they send out a communique to all the mainstream media saying, look, we're going to be in the summer, it's going to be warm at certain parts of the summer, and you've got to start linking this with climate change. Don't miss the connecting of the dots. And, of course, Al Gore doing the same thing. It's a deliberate strategy.
You know, and talking about deliberate strategy in condemning anybody that doesn't go along with their thoughts on purported climate change, the fires, the warm parts of July, I mean, they've written songs, uncountable songs about hot July and hot August, and all of a sudden the climate changers are going, oh my goodness, it's got to be about 72 degrees. Anything more than that is climate change. The fires and everything else, they're utilizing these natural things to purport their control. How about that?
Well, no, and you see it, I mean, even on Fox, they don't have weather, they have extreme weather. And I was reading an article about England the other day, and they said it's stiflingly hot at 84 degrees Fahrenheit. You know, I mean, it's just the terms, the adjectives that are used with it, so you hype it all up and create things. But the biggest issue with all of this, and I'm writing a book right now, the title of which is Environmentalists Are Killing Environmentalism, is that what they are doing is they're taking normal events and presenting them as if they are abnormal, knowing that the public don't know the record or the long-term pattern. I mean, you've only got to dig into the history of fires, forest fires and grass fires across North America, and you see that what's going on right now, in fact, there are less fires now than there were in the past because we put them out. Yeah, we start some, but we also put more of them out. And so it's all this exploitation of lack of understanding, and so I always argue that what they do is they get you shaking so hard that the money flies out of your pocket and they all go around and pick it up.
Yeah.
That's the game that's being played. But it's the argument that what is normal is abnormal, and that's simply not true. And by the way, it also ties in with the idea that what humans do is not normal, that we're not supposed to be on this planet, that we're not natural. That's another part of this underlying theme.
Dr. Ball, what do they want? And I know that's kind of a short question, but yet it has so many complications. What do they want? What do they expect? What do they demand? What are they looking at as a timetable? What do they want?
And the answer is very simple. One word: control. They want to control and dictate everybody else's life. And one of the things, and again, I probably mentioned on the program before, Rush Limbaugh says follow the money. Yes, the money is true up to a certain level, but at a certain point it becomes about power. And these people are all about getting power and controlling. I mean, you see at George Soros, he's using all of his money to control and dictate what he wants the world to be. And you see it with so many of these wealthy people. But it is all about control and power. And, of course, the global warming issue this was an issue that was global in its impact. And therefore they could transcend nationalism. They could say, look, there's no one country that can deal with this. You need a world government to deal with it. No, by the way, let us run the world government. That's what the whole plan was about. So everything is about control. And whether you're talking socialism, and by the way, Marx came out 170 years ago, and it's about run its course, because whether it's Marxism, liberalism, progressivism, socialism, it doesn't matter what you call it. It's all about government having almost total control of everybody's lives, and that's the battle that's going on right now.
I know people like Governor Jerry Brown and others, and I was reading your information sheet for this morning, and they have the agenda that the belief is that humans and their developed societies are the problems. So if that's the case, why don't we start with them as far as an elimination process to see maybe if the environment doesn't get better?
Yeah, well, of course, that's the whole thing about overpopulation. Okay, well, who are you going to get rid of? Who do you decide? I mean, Prince Philip, from his royal palace and his multi-million, high carbon footprint and so on, he said that if he could be reincarnated, he'd come back as a deadly virus and kill off most of the people. And I say, yeah, that's fine, but start with the royalty. and this is with Brown. They want to reduce the population because a smaller population is easier to control. And so they're saying that that's part of the anti-humanity thing that I just talked about. That and I'm familiar with this. I joke about this. I'm familiar with this at the university. You hear the academics saying, if we could just get rid of the students, this would be a great place to work. And so you see the same idea with these people that want control. The fewer people there are, the more they can control them. And by the way, the whole global warming issue started from the idea of overpopulation. When you look at Paul Ehrlich and saying there's too many people in the world and they're using resources at too great a rate, it's absolute nonsense. But the people will say, well, I don't believe in global warming, but the overpopulation, oh, that's an issue. No, it isn't. The world is far from overpopulated, but who decides who lives and who dies?
Absolutely.
That's exactly the point you're making with Jerry Brown in California.
Absolutely. One final thought, and Dr. Ball, you must really worry about this next concept at night. I do. We are looking at right now the President Trump and his administration and the battling back against the insanity on the left. But let's assume that President Trump does not get reelected in 2020. What are your fears and trepidations from that point on?
Well, I think that the Trump the election in 2018 is absolutely critical. And by the way, don't just believe me on that. Elizabeth Warren said it today at a press conference, because she realizes if Trump continues, she's out of business, and her idea of total control is gone. And so this American election is absolutely pivotal. And it isn't just to America. Because as you and I have discussed, America, again, Limbaugh said America's the last hope, and I've said, no, it's the first hope. You're the only country in the world that's got free speech, got the Second Amendment, got private ownership of land. That's American exceptionalism. And unless it can sustain itself in America, its chances of surviving elsewhere are very, very slim.
I absolutely admire you and your thoughts on this program, Dr. Tim Ball. Thank you so much, author of Human-Caused Global Warming, the biggest deception in history. God bless you, my friend, and come back soon.
Thank you, and thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Just a great guest and a very knowledgeable man, Dr. Tim Ball. Thank you so much. Right now, it's time for the weather forecast brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, payroll services, retirement planning. The list goes on and on. And don't forget, they can help you with the new tax rates that have changed, new deductions. Please get a hold of them today. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It's going to be smoky in our area, and temperatures are cooling down. Here's a look at your weather forecast for Zev at the Ranch. Areas of smoke for today, but there is going to be some sunshine above all that haze. We are expecting a high of 83, and tonight, isolated rain showers and thunderstorms are a possibility before midnight. Still going to be smoky, partly cloudy with a low of 53. For tomorrow, slight chance of isolated rain showers, thunderstorms in the afternoon, mostly sunny skies with a high of 82. By Wednesday night, areas of smoke, partly cloudy skies with a low of 53. That smoke's going to stick with us for the rest of the week. Temperatures, we're looking at highs in the mid-80s, lows in the low 50s. That's your weather forecast for Zev at the Ranch.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. Brought to everybody by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they can help you, your family, and your business. Believe me, they have the answers. And there have been some major changes in the tax rates and also new deductions. And some of the old deductions have changed, too. So you need to know this. Get a hold of them today with offices in Burley and Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Right now, some really good friends of mine, the friends at Stoats Equipment, your John Deere dealer with the Ag Minutes. Wheels, if you would, please.
Welcome to Stoats Equipment Ag Minutes, featuring innovative ideas and people that are dedicated to serving agriculture and you. Stoats Equipment, your John Deere authorized dealer, 119 Overland Avenue in Burley. They make your life easier. 5 words sum up Stoats Equipment's dedication to serving you. Quality, integrity, loyalty, caring, and community. Stoats Equipment is your John Deere equipment dealer, providing everything from tractors to combines, swathers to lawnmowers. At Stoats Equipment, they care about their customers. And like their slogan says, we make your life easier. From large ag farm equipment to small compact utility tractors, Stoats Equipment works diligently for local customers to get the best deals. Stoats Equipment, 119 Overland in Burley. Stop in and see them today. We're on the telephone right now with a good friend of ours, the manager of Stoats Equipment, Vic Carataccia. How are you this morning, sir?
I'm good, Zeb. Thank you.
You know, you have got an outstanding list and lineup of tractors and equipment. I mean, I just bought a brand new, I guess you call it a compact tractor, and I love that thing. I think I'll take a sleeping bag outside and sleep in the seat. I love it that much. Tell us a little bit about what you've got.
Well, you know, we all need a little loving, even the John Deere tractors, but the compacts and mowers and zero-turn Z-Track mowers we have, they've been very popular. John Deere's done a great job of not only reducing the price, but also without compromising the value. And so they're very competitive. We have some great incentives to buy right now. 0% down, 0% interest for 60 months on the compacts. There's some discounts going on depending on the model, of course, but all this runs until the end of October. And so it's a great time now if you're thinking about a mower or a compact or a zero-turn or even a small tractor. We have it all. The other thing that we brought a lot of of the attachments. So now we have the box scrapers, and we have the arena groomers and post hole diggers. And if we don't have it, our philosophy is it's a good value for our customers. We'll bring it in.
You know, you talk about all the attachments, and I have been very impressed, not only with the tractor, but those attachments. And people of all variations of whether they're horse owners, whether they've got a small farm or whatever, you've got something that will fit into their program.
Absolutely. So we try to range basically everything from, like you said, horse property owners. If you're a small property owner, or even what we call the weekend warrior, and I fit in that category. I got 4 acres and I have a pasture, but I bought a 3 Series just like yours, and I love it. It's done a really good job. We have the loaders and all the box scrapers that go with it. So if you need to pick up bales of hay, we have the grapples. If you need, bale forks, we have those. We have backhoes, and chances are within 25 stores that we have, somewhere in one of our locations, we have what you're looking for, and we can get it up here. The other thing that we have is an extended warranty that we offer on our compacts, and it actually extends it all the way to 10 years, believe it or not.
Oh, my goodness. Along with all the great green line of the John Deeres, you've got a great supply and inventory of used equipment, too.
Yes, we do. So, one thing, John Deere's big on market share, and we have such a huge area of responsibility here in southern Idaho, which is a blessing. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword. So when we sell new equipment, typically our customers have a trade-in. So right now we're sitting on about $12.5 million worth of row crop tractors, combines, swathers, you name it. So we have it, and our slogan in here is, if we're going to have to discount it, if we're going to have to give an incentive, we're going to do it locally. I'd rather one of my customers get this discount rather than selling it to a jockey or putting it on auction, and it basically goes away and we never see it again. We want our customers to have that advantage here locally.
Vic, what about the person that comes into Stotz for the first time, and maybe they're a first-time equipment buyer, and they don't know what they need and what's going to fill their purpose? How do you work that out with them?
Well, we try to be smart as we can about it, because our whole thing is, just like with you, Jeb, we want to make sure that this is going to fit your needs. I do not want anyone getting something that does not work for their application and their needs. So I want them to try it. If we have to demo it, we'll take 1 out there. If that's not right, we'll take 2 out there. If that's not right, we'll take 3 out there. But we want to make sure whatever you purchase is something you're going to be happy with. Because there's nothing worse than getting home and then finding out what you bought was the wrong one. It's kind of like a tight pair of Wranglers. It just don't fit right.
I'll tell you what, folks, it's true. They do make your life easier. At Stotz Equipment, your John Deere dealer. Thanks, Vic. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Stotz Equipment's Ag Minutes, your John Deere equipment dealer at 119 Overland in Burley. At Stotz, they want to make your life easier.
Really, really great people. Vic is a super guy. All the people I've met over there, absolutely first class. Stotz Equipment, your John Deere dealer. Thank you very much. I want to take a moment, and I do have time for a phone call if you want to give us a jingle quickly, but I want to remind everybody that Thursday is Lunch Bunch Day. That's right. We're going to be over at Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley for Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and we have a great time. Once a month, we all get together, and it's a great gathering of friends and people that they look forward to seeing other people once a month at least over there at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. And we have a lot of door prizes to give away, gift certificates, etc. Thank you very much to Walmart and Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, Pomerel Place, Denny's. Just a really fun time. And I had somebody say the other day, well, how do we join? You don't have to join. Just show up and be there and be a part of our gathering. We would love to see you. And that's this Thursday at 11:30 at Denny's Restaurant in Burley, America's Diner. And, of course, they're located at 611 North Overland in Burley, so we will see you there. My dear friend George Mass and wanted me to tell everybody that they're going to have the 3rd annual Patriotic Car Show. Now, this is standing for the red, white, and blue. It's going to be on September 8th, Saturday, September 8th, from 10 until 4 on Fremont Street over in Rupert. And they're going to have a free movie at the Wilson Theater, and this is going to be a lot of fun. They're going to have bikes and boats and cars and all kinds of entertainment and vendors and food. Got to emphasize the word food. And it's sponsored by a lot of great people. And George is going to be on our program coming up this next week, I believe. And for more information on this third annual Patriotic Car Show, contact my buddy, and he is George Mass, at 208-650-0104, or JR. Hey, man, JR, I tell you, I love that guy. Great guy. 208-670-1728. And any other information, again, revert back to George at 650-0104. Going to be a lot of fun. Third annual Patriotic Car Show on September the 8th on Fremont Street in Rupert. Got it. Let's see, what else have I got cooking here? Coming up next hour, we've got the world famous, literally the world famous, Dr. History. He just walked in the door, as a matter of fact, and he'll be coming up next half hour. Then at 10:30, we're going to be talking to Maria Espinoza, and she's the national director of the Remembrance Project, and she's going to be talking about some of the crazy things that have been going on with illegal aliens in this country as of late, including a alleged Muslim extremist over in New Mexico and other issues that we're going to talk about at 10:30 this morning, so stay tuned for that. I believe right now we're going to send it back over to our main studio, and I'm going to get a chance to visit with Dr. History before that program segment starts at 10:06. So, Wheels, if you would please take us up to news time from CBS. Oh, here we go. Hour number 3. Zeb at the Ranch, and thank you to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, and don't forget they have the very, very best of all the tires you need for a safe road trip. Stop in and see them today. And along with some of our great advertisers, like our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, and they're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. We're going to go right to Dr. History right after this, and don't forget Dino's Septic Service. They do a job you don't want to do. When Dr. History leaves here, he doesn't want to go home and pump out a septic tank. He doesn't want to go home and clean out a sewer and sink drain line. No! He knows, because he's a sharp man, to call Dino's Septic Service. They've expanded. They're serving all of Magic Valley. Be sure and give them a call today at 436-6526, or in Burley, 678-1638. Fast, fair, friendly service, and they got that great big truck that says, "Smells Cargo," on the way. Dino's Septic Service, you get a hold of them now. And without further ado, smiling in his patient little way as he sits there on the other side of the desk, good morning, Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb.
How are you?
Great. Had to go to the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo last week, and I always love fair and rodeo time. You run into people you haven't seen for a long time, and
you did hurt my feelings this morning, though.
Again,
still.
Still.
But you walked in the door so elegant and knowing and kind of arrogant. But where is my Muslim? My Muslim?
You can't even say it.
Where's my maple bar with bacon?
With bacon. Oh, Zeb, I thought about that, and as I was sitting at the rodeo, I thought, yeah. Well, we had maple bars. But
we had good times.
We did. A lot of fun out there at that rodeo. Yep, it was.
Yeah. But you're the one that introduced me to the maple bar with the bacon on it.
Oh, yeah.
And I never will forget the night you brought that entire box of about maybe 15 or 16 in a box up into the announcer stand, and all these bulldoggers and bareback riders and calf ropers and everything looking at that bacon on there, and they kind of wrinkled their nose. And it took one guy to reach in and get one maple bar, and the next thing I knew, the box was empty.
It was gone.
Yeah.
Well, maybe next year I'll bring you one.
All right, buddy.
All right.
What are we going to talk about?
Okay, Zeb, we're going to go into something that I'm kind of excited about. You know, several weeks ago I was in Montpelier, Idaho, went into a little museum that had been a bank. That was a bank that Butch Cassidy robbed, and they've turned it into a little museum. And I bought a book written by Bill Bentonson, and that is Butch Cassidy's great nephew.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
where does he live?
I'm not sure where he lives, but he...
Doesn't it say that in the book?
I don't know.
Like in the back page or something where they talk about the author? On the inside.
I don't know. I'll have to check that out.
It'd be nice to have him come on the air.
You know, it would. So we're going to do 2, maybe 3 sessions on Butch Cassidy, because I've gone through this book, and there's a lot here that I want to talk about, because I think everybody's heard of Butch Cassidy.
Yeah.
Almost everybody. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and, you know, Robert Redford, and what's the name, Paul Newman.
Yeah.
So we're just going to start, and we'll go as far as we can today, and we may not finish next week, but we're going to go from before he was born to after he may have been killed.
Yeah, and the fact is, folks, he probably toured and traveled right through this part of the country. Many times.
We're going to talk about that. Yeah. So we're going to start the story of Robert Leroy Parker. That's Butch Cassidy's real name.
Right.
Robert Leroy Parker.
Right.
And he begins with his namesake and grandfather, whose name was Robert Parker, and he was born in England in 1820. This is the grandfather. Robert worked in a local textile factory. He met his wife, Annie, in a textile factory. They were married in 1843. And they had 5 children were born to them. Now, the oldest one, his name was Maximilian, and they call him Maxie. He was born in 1844. Now, this is Butch Cassidy's dad.
Oh,
all
really?
Right?
Oh.
Maximilian is his dad. But they had several other children. He had some sisters and a little brother named Arthur. Well, the Parkers moved to a town in England called Preston, and in Preston they prepared to immigrate to America. Now, by then, 2 of their children, 2 of the girls, had already died before they left. You know, the mortality rate among kids was really, really high years ago.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so they prepared to leave England and come to America. Well, the Mormon Church had instituted what they called a handcart program in 1856 as a means to help their members make it to Salt Lake. So for those who don't know, a handcart is basically, it's like a box, maybe 8 feet by 8 feet, with sides on it and 2 wheels. And you just pull and push.
It kind of resembles, if you don't mind my interrupting here, the old mine wagons they used to have to go into the mine shafts.
Right.
Just put a handle on it, and that's it.
So that's what they put all their stuff in.
Yeah.
Well, in 1856, the Parkers boarded the ship called the Enoch train at Liverpool, set sail the next day. The ship arrived in Boston on May 1st of that year. The Parkers boarded a train in New York City for Iowa City. 11 days later, the train arrived in Iowa City, and they waited nearly a month while workers finished the construction of the handcarts, and they finally left June 11th, 1856. So that was a good time to leave before the weather turned too bad later.
What was the sea travel time again?
That was 10 days.
10 days back in those. That's not bad at all.
11 days.
11 days.
Wait a minute. No, I'm not sure how many days it took them to get over on the ship. But it was 11 days by train to get over there. Anyway, so they started out, and Robert, this is, again, Butch's grandfather, pulled the handcart, while Maxie, Butch's dad, who by then, he was 12 years old, okay, and he helped push, and his mother helped push the handcart. Now, I told you he had a little brother named Arthur, okay?
Yeah.
Well, as they were going along, little Arthur sat down to rest in a day, and he became separated from the group, from the travelers, all right?
Really?
And they started questioning, and nobody knew where Arthur was. They couldn't find him. Well, the wagon train, they had to keep going. They couldn't wait. So Arthur's dad, Maximilian's dad, said, okay, I'm going to go back and see if I can find him. They took off. So his wife, Anne, gave him a red shawl, and she said, if you find him dead, then bury him in this shawl. If you find him alive, when you catch up with us, then wave this red shawl at us. Well, so he went back looking for the little boy, maybe 5 or 6 years old. And Anne, his wife, started to pull the handcart with the help of the kids. Well, she'd almost given up hope, and finally, over the horizon, she saw a man in the distance. She could see that he held a red shawl in his arms, and she saw that he was carrying little Arthur in his arms. Now, this is a little boy, 5, 6 years old, that was left out.
That's where I've got a bunch of questions. I mean, how do you lose or forget about a little 5 or 6 year old boy?
Well, I don't think they forgot. I think he just, there's a lot of people, and I think a lot of times they thought, well, he's with this family or that family, or, I can see that it could happen. But anyway, in one of the Pioneer Journals, it records, it said, Robert Parker came into camp with this little boy that had been lost. Great joy throughout the camp. The mother's joy I cannot describe. So anyway, Robert recounted that on the second day of his search, he'd come to a trading post where he learned that a woodcutter had found a little boy that was hungry and cold. The woodcutter and his wife had cared for the boy and taken care of him, and that's where he found him, with this woodcutter and his wife.
Well, what state was that in, or what area?
Back in Iowa, I believe.
Iowa.
But anyway, so the Parkers continued on the journey. They got into Nebraska in July 17th, 1856. And, a lot of times across there wasn't much vegetation or wildlife.
No.
So things could get hungry. But as the company neared Fort Laramie, Robert started having trouble with his feet, sore feet and infected. And again, he's walking and pushing this handcart. Well, he got so bad that he was forced to ride in a wagon, and so Anne and the children were left to pull the handcart. Well, they finally got into the Salt Lake Valley in 1856, September 27th, and they moved on down south to Beaver City, Utah. You know where that is. Mm-hmm. And the first winter, they actually lived in a dugout. Now, keep in mind, folks, this is Butch Cassidy's grandparents, okay, and his dad, Maximilian. Well, a little later, in 1865, they moved down to Washington, Utah, which is just a little farther south.
Yeah.
So
right by St. George.
Yeah, right by St. George.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, Maximilian, the father of Robert Leroy Parker, in other words, Butch, had grown to manhood. At age 18, he got married, and he married a gal by the name of Annie. And in 1865, Maximilian actually served in the Utah Indian Black Hawk War.
Oh, really?
So he fought. So
that was Butch's granddad.
No, this is Butch's dad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
His dad.
Yeah.
So now Arthur Parker, the little boy that had been lost.
Yeah.
Okay, now he's grown up. He's about 17. Now he decided with another young man to go to California to work, and he was never heard from again.
Really?
The little boy that was rescued. Part of their wagon was found burned, and it was assumed they'd been killed by Indians.
Oh, my.
So that was the end there.
Wow.
Anyway, Annie, Maxie's wife, was a devout Christian. She loved her family. She had 13 children, of which, like I say, Butch was the oldest. Okay? But, as time went on, she come to find out that 2 of her sons were outlaws, one of which was Butch. So
what created that?
I think we'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about that. So, again, their first child was born, this may be significant, Friday the 13th.
Oh, boy.
Butch Cassidy in Beaver, Utah. He was named Robert Leroy Parker after 2 of his grandfathers.
Okay.
Now, only 9 days after little Robert's birth, his father, Maximilian, was, again, fighting in this Utah Black Hawk War. So Robert's first 13 years were in Beaver City. He grew up in a pretty happy home. His sisters and brothers called him Bob. I mean, Robert, they would call him Bob. I don't want people to get confused. We're talking about Butch, Robert Leroy, or Bob. This is all the same guy. But he really loved his mother. He adored his mother. And he loved his younger siblings. They looked up to him. And Bob's next younger brother, Dan, was really, really looked up to Butch and wanted to do everything that Butch did, which may not have been a good thing.
Really?
So, now, some people think of that as being a lot of hard work, and it was, but they had some fun, too. The Parker youngsters got hold of some of the neighbors' wine, and they put it in the pans for the chickens.
Uh-oh.
When Mother came home from town...
This is a foul story.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. When Mother came home, all the chickens were reeling around and acting a little funny.
Man.
So drunk chickens, you ever heard of that?
I have.
Yeah, now. So anyway, Big Brother Butch, or Bob, like I say, he loved children, and he always made a big thing over them, and whether they were family or neighbors, and there was always room on his horse for as many as he could get on his horse, and if they were little, he'd put them all on and lead the horse around. Now, doesn't that just sound like a good big brother and just a good young man?
Yeah.
So anyway, Maxie and Annie tried to teach their children to uphold Christian values while still having a good time. Now, the Parkers were poor, and because of the growing Parker family, Robert, or Butch, hired on at a local ranch to earn money for the family. And it was said that he was a good, steady boy that you could depend on. He was a hard worker.
Was he about 20 years old by now?
No, he's about 18. 16, actually.
I see.
So Robert was 16 when he worked on a ranch called the Jim Marshall Ranch. And I don't know that that's even still in existence. But anyway, at this time, here he is 16. A small-time outlaw named Mike Cassidy drifted into the area, started working on the Marshall Ranch. Robert, or Butch, immediately took a liking to this Mike Cassidy, and Mike gave Robert a pistol, taught him how to use it, and educated him in the finer points of rustling cattle and creative branding.
Uh-oh.
So you know what that means.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the mother, she could see that Butch admired this Mike Cassidy, and this was not a good path to head down. So, and it's been said that once a person is into the game, if you want to call it that, it's hard to get out. So Butch got further into the game, which led to his leaving home at about age 18 this is now 1884.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when Robert Leroy Parker left home in 1884, he headed east, and for the next 5 years, he kind of drifted from ranch to ranch in Utah, Wyoming, Colorado, and his name shows up in several historic accounts. But everything I've read about him, he was a hard worker. When he went to work for a rancher, they loved him. He was a good bronc rider, a good worker, good with cows, all that. So, 1889, Robert arrived in Telluride, Colorado. You've been there, probably.
Yep, I have.
So he got a job packing ore from the mine down the mountain to the mill on mules. Now, the work was really hard. It was demanding, but he enjoyed it. He quickly learned how to skillfully put the packs on the mules. And Zeb, if you don't pack a mule or a horse right, you got a disaster.
Trouble in River City.
Yeah. Now, at this point, Parker soon met another Utah cowboy named Matt Warner. Now I don't know if you've heard of him, but Matt was making the rounds in western Colorado, and he was racing his horse named Betty. He had a really fast horse.
His horse name was Betty?
I agree. It couldn't have been anything but Betty.
Betty?
Yeah. So, anyway, he came into town, and Butch met him, and he says he's going to race this particular horse. And Butch said, you're going to get beat. He said, this horse we have here, it's going to beat Betty. And Matt Warner said, well, put your money where your mouth is. So Butch...
Betty the Bay Bomber.
Butch made the mistake of saying, you know what, I'm going to put all my gear up against yours that we're going to win.
Uh-oh.
His saddle, his bridle, his everything. And guess what? Butch lost. Well... Matt actually convinced Butch to become a partner in future races. They became friends, and Matt related that the two rode all over southwestern Colorado racing Betty and making lots of money while having a pretty good time at that age. Now, Matt had a brother-in-law who was a seasoned outlaw named Tom McCarty.
Oh, I've heard that name.
And you've heard that name.
Yeah.
Now, Matt reported that they ran into Tom McCarty in Cortez, Colorado, and Tom had a, quote, cabin hideout, and one day they were at Tom's cabin when they were kind of restless. The day was dull, didn't have anything to do. They planned a bank robbery. So here we go. So Matt actually wrote, he said, quote, our plans were accordingly laid very carefully to go to a certain bank and relieve the cashier of his ready cash.
They'd have been better off planning a fishing trip.
They were good at this. So here we go. June 24th, 1889, Tom McCarty, Matt Warner, and Butch Parker, Butch Cassidy, robbed the San Miguel Valley Bank of approximately $21,000. And back then...
That was a lot of money.
Yeah. Anyway, the trio had come to Telluride 3 days earlier to case the bank and visit the local saloons. Tom McCarty wrote, and I like this because there's some quotations from these guys.
Really?
Here's what Tom McCarty said, quote, "About 11 o'clock in the forenoon, we quietly rode our horses up to the bank. Matt said that Tom stayed outside and held the horses, while Matt and Butch went into the bank to rob it. Only the cashier, a guy by the name of Hyde, was in the bank at the time. Matt immediately shoved his gun in the cashier's face, and Butch jumped behind the cage, quickly filled sacks with money and gold from the counter and the vault. And Tom explained, after the money was in our possession, we bid the banker to stay inside and keep quiet, or he would pay the penalty."
Mm-hmm.
So that was the only person in there.
May I ask a question
Sure.
here? You refer to both names as Bob or Robert Parker,
Yeah.
and then you say
Butch.
Butch. When was the assumption of the name Butch Cassidy?
It'll come, but
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to try.
Well, you had me confused.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So Robert Leroy Parker,
alias Butch
Bob
Cassidy.
and Butch.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So anyway, now apparently they had made a deal with the town marshal ahead of time to conveniently be out of town.
Oh, so they bribed the sheriff.
Yeah, yeah. And this is where they had the technique of arranging for relays of fresh horses along their route. And that's how they got away time after time, by buying horses and having them ready to go. I'm going to say maybe 4 or 5 miles between.
Wow.
So the posses could not keep up with them.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, stories exist within the family that some of Robert's other brothers assisted him in some of the robberies. And one story is that one brother wanted to join the gang, and Robert told him that he was too slow and stupid to be an outlaw. Well, this insult was Robert's way of protecting his siblings from a dangerous life. So, you're dumb and stupid. Don't come with us.
Yeah, really.
Okay, so now we're 1889.
Okay.
It's a cold, windy Friday afternoon, December 20th, 1889, near Baggs, Wyoming. Have you ever been there?
Oh, that's cold.
Yeah, it is.
You don't go to Baggs, Wyoming in the wintertime.
Yeah.
He did.
Well, actually not, but we'll get to that. Two men dressed in disguises. Now get this, Zeb. It included a mustache and whiskers made from buffalo rope and held in place with a string.
Well, you got to give him credit for trying.
I could just imagine this, whiskers and mustache made out of string. And anyway, so they held up the Dixon to Rollins stage, and the stage was carrying the U.S. mail. Well, the younger bandit later identified as Dan Parker, Butch's younger brother, a year younger than Butch. Well, and this was kind of a bad deal, obviously.
Yeah.
Dan Parker and a buddy of his named William Brown were found guilty of robbing the U.S. mail, which was terrible capital crime. So the judge had no choice but to sentence the two to life in prison.
Okay, this is Butch's younger brother.
Yeah, by a year. Yeah,
Okay.
Dan. So the life sentence was a result of robbing the U.S. mail with the use of deadly weapons and putting the life of people in jeopardy. So imprisonment with hard labor that's for his natural life.
Yeah.
Now, on a better note, he didn't spend the rest of his life in jail, and he actually came out and straightened up his life later.
Really?
Yeah. So, but like say, Butch's mother and Dan's mother, she was not happy having two sons in jail and outlaws. So, oh man, we're out of time.
I know it's interesting, but I got to ask you: did the family stay in that area of Beaver, Utah?
Yeah, Circleville and Washington and St. George, that southern area. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But that went fast, Ed. We're going to have at least 2 more sessions.
What are we going to talk about next week with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid?
We are going to go into the robberies that he did.
Butch Cassidy.
Yes.
Okay.
And at that point, we may have to go to the third episode where his years in South America.
Real quick, though, the assumption of the name. I really want that explained because I never did pick up on how did he challenge that last name of Mike Cassidy as one of his partners?
Yeah, he named himself after this boyhood idol. Mike Cassidy.
Where did he come up with Butch?
That's a good question. I don't know, but he liked the name Mike, or he liked the name Cassidy. Like I say, he was the guy that kind of tutored him in the ways of the outlaw.
Okay.
So that's where it came from.
I see. Boy, this is interesting.
Well,
you've done another good job.
I've gone through this whole...
You ought to see this book, ladies and gentlemen. It is dog-eared. It's highlighted. It is wrinkled. It is ripped. And this man, when he studies, he makes it a passionate affair.
I want everybody to know all about Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Hey, I appreciate you coming by this morning with us. That really a good story. And then the ultimate ending would be naturally kind of a cliffhanger. Did he?
We are not going to say.
No. But did he die in Bolivia as people think?
That's what we're not going to say.
I know.
You're going to have to wait.
I can't.
You're going to have to.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. History, every Tuesday at 10:06 right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Good job, my friend.
Thank you, Zeb.
We're going to send this back over to our main studios, and Wheels is going to have some information for everybody, and we'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, thank you. And don't forget, on Thursdays, we have a special segment on Zeb at the Ranch called Cassia County School Days, Thursdays at 10:10, and it's brought to you by our friends at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. All the school clothes, all the baby furniture and the baby clothing and all the puzzles and the games, everything for the family at A Child's World. 1308 Overland in Burley, bringing you Cassia County School Days on Thursdays at 10:10. Right now, a lady that has been on our program many, many times in the past, and I have the utmost respect for her. She is the National Director of the Remembrance Project, Maria Espinoza. Good morning, Maria. How are you?
I'm doing well, Zeb. How about you?
Really, really good. And every time we get you on here, we talk naturally about immigration and the abuses to immigration as far as illegal immigration, and also refugees that have lied and come into this country and have perpetrated some heinous acts. What are we going to talk about this morning in relationship to that absolutely astounding story in New Mexico?
Oh, absolutely. You know, that's evidence that our government's not doing their jobs, and we have to be able to allow them as anything possible. That we need to fund their efforts. We have to follow our president's America First agenda in order to protect all Americans, and it's simple as that. We have people here, obviously, who want to harm Americans and harm our country. And here's proof. And, this camp was out remotely in New Mexico, and here we discovered it. And look at all the trauma those children went through as well.
Maria, I followed this story, and there's so many unanswered questions. Number one, where did these perpetrators of hate, where did they get their money to buy all the weapons and all the ammo? Why didn't somebody step in much earlier than what happened? And now that they've been found out as to who they were and what they were trying to do, a judge lets them off on $20,000 bail with the hope that they're going to show up for a court case. This is insanity.
Insanity, absolutely, and that's something that would not even be warranted to a citizen, and it shouldn't. But again, here we have these activist judges that circumventing our laws, and that's what they're doing. They're legislating from the bench, and here, no telling if again they will return for the court hearing. No telling who else they have connections with. We have no idea, and this is a national security issue, and yet this judge allowed them to walk free after the horrible abuse that they brought upon those children again.
They were teaching these kids, some of these kids, to be absolutely trained, cold, sadistic killers, teaching them the arts of speed reloading on weapons that were absolutely heinous, weapons of war and devastation. And a judge can sit there on the bench and say, well, there was really nothing wrong. These kids were starving, according to reports. They were living in ultra filthy conditions, and this judge should be disbarred.
Absolutely, I agree. And, because of this case, we're doing some research, and, through our research, what we've learned is that once that these children are exposed to this type of treatment, it's nearly impossible to fix these children's minds.
Well, absolutely. Now, what about one of the ladies by the name, and I'll probably say this wrong, Janie Lavelle, that was arrested? What's her story as far as reappearing in court in the future?
Well, who knows? And that's another problem. This woman should have been deported long ago, I think, 20 years ago, and she's still here. And again, look at what harm that they've tried to do, and think if they have been successful, these 11 children, and sending them to schools where our children go to school and have no idea what they're around, and what the children that these terribly neglected kids are going through, and they're replacing them in the schools. And who knows what can happen. And this is exactly what we're trying to prevent, is to go ahead and get ahead of these types of potential crimes and put a stop to them. And the judge allows them to walk free. It's unacceptable, and she should be disbarred.
Let me ask you this, Maria, and you're going to think that I'm some kind of a wacky conspiracy theorist that is absolutely falling off the bridge. But when you hear about these stories, and I know personally about training sites around the United States that have been uncovered. I have seen pictures of some of them, whether it's in New York State or whether it's in the state of Oregon or Texas, etc. Why? Why is this not being investigated? Why are they just basically being treated like Boy Scout camps by our government, and our government is so doggone naive? Why?
Right, and take a look at the political correctness for decades that has Americans just sitting down and being afraid to stand up and speak up. They're afraid of being called names. And, I think that political correctness has caused and allowed this type of criminal element to take place here in the United States and to come into our countries. And we've known for years that there has been people from very violent countries coming into the United States through our southern border, and yet our government is not securing that border. You see that President Trump has not been able to obtain the funding that he's asked for. And you see both sides of the aisle, these politicians who absolutely refuse to fund a border wall and to secure our country. And now the Democrats are talking about abolishing ICE, interior enforcement. This is absolutely ludicrous.
I said here, I'm an old man, and I cannot understand and I cannot fathom how and why the American public in general today is being duped into this stupidity. Hear no evil, see no evil, and promote no evil, and just accept everything that's going on around. The FBI knew about this camp. They did nothing. They let it go. They let the kids starve. They let them live in filthy conditions. They let them be trained. And finally, the local county sheriff said enough is enough. This is insanity. I'm telling you, this is nuts.
I agree. I think a lot of people out there, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, we're all American, and I think that's what the bottom line is here. We have to protect our citizens, protect our country, and of course, those who are illegally in the country should be deported immediately. And yet, we are seeing that we're challenged in the courts, we're challenged here on the Hill, on every state level of government with sanctuary city policies. This is absolutely out of control, and President Trump's America First agenda, for him to legislate and do what's best, or encourage legislation, I should correct myself there, for what is best for the American people, that's the avenue to follow. And again, it's not a Democrat or Republican matter. This is an American matter, Zab, and we're losing our country very quickly.
You know, and then the story about the illegal alien, and he was wanted for murder in Mexico, trying to get his wife to a hospital. I mean, my goodness, ICE did what I think should have been done, but it seems like no matter what the situation or what the story, the left, the liberal loon left, is good.
That's an example of the left for decades of political correctness, and both parents, the illegal alien husband and wife, are here they've been here in the United States 10 to 12 years. They have 5 children, 3 of them which were born here. And again, the mother was on her way for a scheduled cesarean.
Right.
It wasn't an incident where it was an emergency and she was in labor on her way to the hospital. No, but the left-wing media refuses to tell the truth here, and this man is wanted in Mexico. And if he was not wanted in Mexico, Zeb, they are both here illegally. We should keep their families together and deport all of them.
Yes. You know, let me ask you this, and it's been so apparent to me about the lies and the covering up. Over the years, from 2006 all the way through 2008 and 9, there are many examples of lying and cheating by Chuck Schumer and, of course, Nancy Pelosi. They, at that time, said that they are absolute supporters of borders and tight borders and against illegal aliens. Now the Democratic Party is picking up the mantra because they want to buy new votes. Am I wrong?
You know, who knows what the left thinks, Zeb, and, you know, that Democrat Party has been hijacked, I believe, by far left, socialist, liberal agenda, and I think verging on anarchists in that party where they don't want us to even have an opinion. And as you see the social media, you've got Facebook and Twitter blocking, and Google, you know, blocking conservative groups, and there are efforts to have a voice and our freedom of speech. But, you know, I think that party is it's too far left for most people, and I think they're losing a lot of their base. And I think that's also why that they're urging and wanting illegal aliens to vote and openly vote. I mean, I believe that they have been voting, and they should not be, but I think that they're encouraging them. As you can see, look at Governor Cuomo. He pardoned felons so that they can vote. So they're changing the rules in order to try and get the votes, I believe, knowing that they have lost their base. And that walk-away movement that came up probably two months ago, you know, that seems to be gaining more and more momentum.
Right. On behalf of the Remembrance Project, of which you're the national director, what is the message that you want my listeners to understand about illegal aliens and what they have done criminally in this country and absolutely killing legal residents of America? What is it on behalf of the Remembrance Project that you want my audience to think about and remember?
Well, I want everyone to know that every single American who was killed by an illegal alien was a 100% preventable killing or murder. And on top of that, it's every act against Americans committed by illegals. But we focus on the most egregious of all. But we also have to put blame on Congress, because they're the ones who are creating these laws, and they're creating loopholes, making it more difficult for our law enforcement to deport illegal aliens immediately. And that's part of the problem that we're having now with the zero tolerance. We should always have a zero tolerance when it comes to breaking our laws. You know, once we go down that road, Zeb, you know, this is it fundamentally undermines the basis for any laws to be obeyed. And this is where we are right now.
What about Congress? And I mean this not to spite or act in spite of any congressman or senator, but are they really this naive, or are they stupid, or have they had their pockets lined to just look the other way?
Right. I think that they've had their pockets lined, and they like that position to be treated like royalty, and they've lost their way. They're completely out of touch with the average American out there, and they do want to keep their positions, and they accept this, open borders, lobbyist money in order to get reelected. And they've forgotten about the average American, and that's what President Donald Trump ran on during his campaign, the forgotten man, which is every American. He didn't say a Democrat or a Republican or an independent. He said every American. He's going to do what is best for America and its citizens, and every leader should be allowed that and should do this. No other country is going to put up with their leaders not having the best interests of the citizens in mind, and President Donald Trump is on the right track.
Absolutely. One final thought, and I'm not even going to mention the man's name because I don't want to give him any credibility on my program, but one of the potential governor choices for the state of Arizona got up and said that he wants to see the elimination of all borders, no walls, etc. My goodness, you would think the people in Arizona would throw that guy out completely in the Grand Canyon, and yet he might win the governorship of Arizona.
That's insane. I would say that he should not lock his doors, car doors, gates. Why even have walls in his home then? And he should invite all these illegal aliens that he's trying to champion. And anyone who wants to come into his home to enter and live among his family, his daughters and sons. That's what I say. Let's see how true he is to his words, which I'm sure he would not do that. He would be insane to do that.
The National Director of the Remembrance Project, a very nice and very well-educated lady, Maria Espinoza, thank you. God bless you for coming on the program.
Thank you, Zeb. God bless you, too.
Thank you so much. I really thank her for being a part of our show and a continual guest, if you will, over the months and years, and I thank Maria Espinoza. She knows and understands the problem. Right now, we're going to get the weather forecast. I'm almost a couple of minutes early. Even though I'm late, I'm a couple of minutes early in this segment. Our weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The telephone number to call, Don and the crew, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Oh, boy, it's still barbecue time. Still the weather on the weekends and everything. Get outside. They've got marinated pork ribs for only $1.99 per pound. And they've got barbecue packages for $99. And, the beef and the pork and the chicken. Oh, it's delicious. Absolutely is delicious from Scarrows Meats. Get a hold of them today, 324-7657. Right now, here is the lovely Gina with our weather.
It's going to be smoky in our area, and temperatures are cooling down. Here's a look at your weather forecast for Zev at the Ranch. Areas of smoke for today, but there is going to be some sunshine above all that haze. We are expecting a high of 83, and tonight, isolated rain showers and thunderstorms are a possibility before midnight. Still going to be smoky, partly cloudy with a low of 53. For tomorrow, slight chance of isolated rain showers, thunderstorms in the afternoon, mostly sunny skies with a high of 82. By Wednesday night, areas of smoke, partly cloudy skies with a low of 53. That smoke's going to stick with us for the rest of the week. Temperatures, we're looking at highs in the mid-80s, lows in the low 50s. That's your weather forecast for Zev at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and his entire crew over at 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. And they are changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time at Scarrows Meats. Tomorrow, I got to talk about tomorrow real quick. We have a special interview tomorrow. I went through some channels to get this lady on our program. I hope everything is going to work out as promised. But at 9:30 tomorrow, we have Martin Luther King's niece, Alveda King, scheduled to come on the program at 9:30 tomorrow morning. A lovely lady, Alveda King. And then we have Jim Schreiner. We've got another gentleman. Of course, Dave Bego's going to be on the program. But I really am looking forward to having Alveda King talking about race relations in this country today. I think worse than almost any time before in our country's history. So that's coming up at 9:30 tomorrow morning. And then don't forget to open forum in the first hour tomorrow. You can call and voice your complaint or criticism about any story you want to. We look forward to that. I was going through a magazine the other day, and there was a one-page story, kind of a graphic, and it said, "While you're away." And then the sub-headline said, "Crooks love vacation season when homes are empty and cars are filled with valuables." And one of the things, and I know a lot of this is old hat, but I think we get careless and don't remember this. Always make your home appear that it's occupied. Park your cars in the driveway, especially when you're on vacation. Keep the lights on at night. And they even suggested leaving muddy, dirty shoes in disarray by the back door, etc. And then they said, be overzealous regarding locking up your home. If you're gardening out back behind your house or cooking in the kitchen, lock the front door. And keep your garage door closed all the time. Always lock the door from the garage into your house. Another safety. And number 3, and this is where we're all guilty of, I think, never ever leave or keep valuables in your car. Car doors and trunks aren't very secure, and don't ever leave behind laptops or personal info in your car. For identity theft, we all do that. And we all have it with our insurance forms and everything else. Holy smokes, we're supposed to carry it with us. I don't know if we're supposed to take a briefcase with us every time we get in the car to go to get the groceries or whatever. But don't leave any personal information or whatever valuables in the car. And then they had kind of a drawing that I thought was kind of interesting about Maple Street, USA. Where are the good or the bad places to live and what to do to protect yourself? And if you live near a convenient escape route such as a freeway, you are going to be very susceptible to having crime on your property. And then it says driveway oil stains. If the car's not there, but the oil stains are seen, that usually tells the bad guys, nobody's home. And then another one was no dog. Dogs scare away burglars, even if they're tied up or if they're in kennels, especially when they sound really mean and growl a lot, etc. It's good to have one of those around. And let's see, what else did they have? Motion detector lights, make sure you got those on. And let's see what else. Cars are often targeted when parked near a trailhead, the zoo, park and ride lots, parking garages, health clubs, ball fields, or beaches. So remember that and don't park your car there. This was really kind of interesting and kind of a graphic design, the way they drew this out. Be careful, be cautious, and be aware of your surroundings. I want to remind you about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They're always cautious and aware of what's going on, and they are always serving you with the best of tires for your vehicles, cars, pickups, SUVs, whatever. And they've got all the different tread designs, all the different sizes. They are ready for you to come on in. Many of their tires right now are on sale, so get in there and check it out today at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Need brakes, or maybe need your brakes repaired? Well, they are excellent with highly trained technicians. And, of course, the best in front-end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries, all of this and so much more at all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Yep, the best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Tomorrow, we already told you who's going to be on the show, and we welcome your phone calls, and you're a part of the program. Don't forget that. And we're right here on KBAR 1230 a.m. and then streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com. And again, I want to reiterate, if you'd like to become a avid reader of our weekly blog, Cow Pies and Coffee Cups, just go to zebbell.com, put your email address on there, and we'll get it to you, okay? Got you covered on that. Wheels, we want to remind everybody about Lunch Bunch on Thursday. Are you, your mom, and your grandma going to be there?
My grandma will not be there, but as usual, my mom will be making an appearance, hopefully. We'll just I'm going to have to see how her work schedule.
All right. Well, I know if that's the case and she shows up, you'll be the best behaved person in the room. All right. There you go. All right, Wheels. Hey, listen, again, and we want to thank all of our Lunch Bunch sponsors, Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, Pomerell Place, and Denny's for all they do to help promote our Lunch Bunch. Got to go. 8:06 tomorrow morning. We'll see you Zeb at the Ranch, where we always say the way things were, the way things ought to be, and the world needs more cowboys. See you tomorrow morning.